Hi everyone, this is Mateo Beagle, Head of Content at TOC Worldwide, and I'm here with Peter Sundara, Global Head of Ocean Freight at a large BCO based outside of Singapore. Hi Peter, how are you?
Hi, nice to mean you, Mateo. Nice to meet you.
I'm very happy to have you here. We just had Peter speaking at a panel discussion that was really interesting. And Peter, I mean, it gave me a lot of thought material, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions, just to like dip in a little bit. So you guys talked a lot about resilience across the supply chain, and over the last years, resilience has been a word that we have heard a lot, COVID, war in Ukraine, etc. And you guys mentioned that resilience is also about visibility of the state of the cargo across the supply chain. And we've heard that a lot of times already in general. One question that I have is, why is this still an issue? What are the barriers slowing down visibility?
Sure. Okay, good question, Matthew. First of all, one thing we need to understand is that visibility was not a major emphasis before pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. People are not so keen about it, right? But COVID changed the entire climate of operating environment, where people needed to understand where the containers are, where the shipments are. Therefore, every customer, whether it's internal or external, see visibility as a given service, free of charge. Yeah? Okay. But to do that, the organization must also change, because visibility doesn't only purely depend on what the terminals or the truckers can provide. Internally, your operating system must have the data consolidated, quality data, to transfer the information to a customer digital platform, and then with that shipment details, your external vendors can send you the shipment tracking devices. So it has to work both, first of all, laying the foundation internally. How are you sorting out the data? How the data are quality? Are people entering the data on time in a quality manner? So that is the most important thing. So if organizations are not ready psychologically, mentally, it's going to face a lot of problem in terms of quality issues.
So I think that then it's not maybe so much an issue about the technology, but maybe about the management and the approach to data. I think because it's not been a priority lately. Yes. Until recently. Correct. Yeah. And for example, I'm guessing that would require some investment, yes, to make all this data available. Yeah. How, for example, whether you are a BCO or whether you're a terminal, etc., how can people measure the return on this investment, for example?
Very good question. At the end of the day, we have to ask the question, if you don't have visibility, how are you going to track your containers? How are you going to advise your customer? It's going to go on a manual basis. Access spreadsheet, coordinating with different stakeholders, operations, your truckers, your terminal operators. Somebody have to put that into Access spreadsheet and then send to the customer, right? So that is where the challenge is going to be. So in order to avoid that manual activity and you want to transfer that into a digitalized, that is where the rate of return. And you create a stickiness with the customer. Yeah. Okay. When you create a stickiness with the customers provide you continuous service, you increase your share of wallet of the customer. And that's where you get your rate of return.
Yeah. It's more of a medium to long-term investment.
Correct. Exactly. Correct.
And for example, in this sense then, you mentioned that you need to put the right data in different, that comes from different parties. Something I've noticed, and I've also heard this word during your session, was about the standardization. The terminal might add some data, the shipping line might put in some data, the BCO might receive or add some data. What happens if all of these, different data languages are not actually talking to each other? What suggestions would you have? What do you think?
So the main thing you need to understand, first of all, is for data to be of quality nature, first you need to have a TMS system within your company that's able to capture all your operating activities. That's done. Next, either you design your own customer digital platform or you get from the vendor. Mm-hmm. The vendor will sort out to you all those information is getting from the truckers or from the shipping lines. He will sort it out for you. He will standardize all the data. But what we need to provide them is, from your TMS system, basic shipment details. So the basic shipment details will match with your shipment tracking. Where's your container arrival? Where's your container discharge? So that's why it matters. So internally in an organization, you don't worry about the standardization of data, but your internal data must be clean and of high quality. Let the vendor agree on how he's going to get the data from the various vendor operators through the API, but for us, our data must be super clean internally. We don't worry about how the vendor is going to come out and clean the data for himself.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let them sort that bit, and then we sort out our bit. Yes. And then with our bit, in this case, as a cargo owner, I wanted to also ask you a little bit more about something I heard during the session, which was the potential switch from just-in-time arrivals to now just-in-case arrivals, because, again, this word that has been used a lot, black swan event, in case another black swan event that we may not know what that is. How do we prepare for that,
Okay, so one thing you need to understand, every organization might have a different strategy in terms of whether they want to apply a just-in-time or just-in-case scenario. If you do just-in-case scenario, what's going to happen is that you're going to lock your working capital, right? That will allow, of course, provide you the buffer in the event something happens, but at the same time, don't forget the financial implications, like what Kenneth mentioned, is huge. So every organization have different strategy, how you want to do it. So I cannot pinpoint, I say, okay, every company must now go and look at just in case because of the various disruptions, but ultimately, it's the tolerance level. The company wants to adapt in terms of investment being locked in, the working capital being locked in. Are we able to digest that working capital being locked in to allow our production to go smoothly? So again, depends on the company's philosophy and strategy towards managing disruptions.
Yeah, so I would say definitely let's not put all the eggs in one basket. Well, there you got people. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Well, I think, Peter, you've given us a lot of thought, and I think that's all the time we have. But thank you so much for being here. It was great to have you.
Thank you.
See you guys.